Play the commercial with Jimmy Butler singing Hootie and the Blowfish.
Dude, Jesse hates me because of that.
Why?
Because I'm just walking around going, sure, here. Ted. You remember Ted,
Yes.
right? It's one.
A-I-O-U. Yeah.
That's my favorite
There are
scene.
two.
You could
Yeah.
do that. You could do that with any song in the '90s. You just got to say the vowels. You don't even need to say anything else.
Yeah. That is a good song. It's the only Hootie song I know besides "Hold My Hand." And well, although I love that I've listened to interviews with Darius Rucker, the lead singer of Hootie the Blowfish. And
Yeah.
it's funny to me that people go up to him and go, "Hey, Hootie!" It's like it's not my fucking name. It's just the name of the band. I'm not
Yeah.
Hootie.
Yeah.
There are two commercials out right now with that song. There's a Jimmy Butler commercial, and there's a Discover Card commercial with.
Mm.
So like what? That's a popular song coming back like 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, it's a great song, man.
It
I
is a great
only
song.
want to be
Well, the Dolphins make me cry. He's a Dolphins fan. I don't know. That I'm just glad that the Celtics won, and we don't have to worry about that being bulletin board material. I
Yeah,
understand.
but
Draymond will go on his podcast and be like, "Was I wrong? I'm just giving my opinion. This is the new media."
well,
But
Game 6, though, man, I'm watching that game and I'm thinking, and you know, the Heat deserve to win that game. And Jimmy Butler, he's such a big game player. I love watching him when the stakes are highest because that's when it seems like he tries the most. It's pretty ironic that, you know, he's always calling out teammates for not having that fire, that passion, that hunger, and he doesn't show that same hunger in the regular season. I mean,
don't you
this dude, if
think?
he was playing like that throughout, he could be the MVP. Hang on, my mom's calling me. I'm gonna decline that. I'll text her.
Hey,
Uh, but
no,
but
get Jenny back on the phone.
that game six, am I wrong in thinking like that game? There were just so many calls against the Celtics that were just
Towards the end there, yeah.
ticky tack fouls that shouldn't have been called. Now, granted, there were a couple of dumb ones on PJ Tucker too, where you're just thinking, okay, like the refs don't have money on either side. They just they're having a tough time at their job right now, and they're really calling things at a high rate. That's what it felt like in Game 6. But then yesterday in Game 7, very odd situation. I just want to go to the Eastern Conference Finals real quick.
By all means, sir.
That decision, it felt strange in real time, and I'm not going to act like I've been like a whole basketball fan where I'll say, you know, like, oh yeah, I've never in my days have I seen a playoff game where that happens. Like, I'm not going to act like I've watched every single playoff game to say something that strongly, but it didn't feel like when they took away that Strus 3, I'm like, what the hell? You saw that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like how did that's never happened, right?
Jeff Van Gundy's lack of a voice announced it to him.
Oh my god! I mean, you want to talk about testing positive for COVID? I'm like, this dude, like, what? Does he have COVID right now?
So going back to Game 6, did you see the pregame where Mark Jackson couldn't get through a word?
No.
Oh, Mark Jackson was like, "So tonight we got the Celtics." Excuse me. And he can barely talk. He's got like B-roll to go with what he's talking about.
Oh.
He can't even go through it. He
Brutal.
sounds like shit. Then we heard Mike Breen, who, by the way, Mike Breen, great call on the Wiggins dunk, but it's no Tarico with Baron. Like, that was a better call of Tarico doing the Baron Davis, Andre. Oh man!
Yeah, and then you got the QB Brown in the background. Hello.
That's my favorite part of QB Brown, like telling a story, and then Tarico's like, "Shut the fuck up!" Oh man!
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
But yeah, so Mike Breen, who we hope will be on the call for Game 1 of the finals, but he did test positive for COVID, no symptoms. But Mark Jones fills in last night, and then Jeff Van Gundy sounds like he has it. And you sound better right now, but you have tested positive for COVID. I sound terrible because I have allergies. Who knows what Jeff Van Gundy? I'm sure he wasn't putting anybody else at risk, but he did sound like shit last night.
Dude, he sounded terrible. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous because you don't want to take a day off. Like, you never do.
Yeah.
Right. And at the time, on Sunday, I didn't think that I had COVID. I thought I was just, feeling the allergies, but then my voice was just shot. And I don't ever want to like the one time I've been in when my voice was just dead and gone, and I went into the studio, and people are like, "What? You didn't host? You didn't host just because you have a scratchy throat?" And then you like I'm talking to them and
Fuck
I
that.
sound terrible. They're what you just because you sound terrible, you're not going to go on air the next day. Come on, man, have some dedication. Um,
Stop
and
it.
and I think that there's a little tongue in cheek when they were saying that, but like I was planning on going in on Monday if unless I tested, then then in 4 in the afternoon I decided, okay, you know what, I should probably test just in case, and then yeah, the line showed up just like that, and I didn't have to
Yeah.
go in the next day, luckily. But just doing, he knew it too. Like you could tell that he
Yeah.
had some, like he didn't have his Jeff Van Gundy drunk uncle at a barbecue watching a game with his family vibes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like whenever there's a play happening, it's let's just say it's you know
He wasn't
like
chiming in with to say that the wussification of basketball has
yeah,
taken it.
let's just say Jimmy Butler, the big three that Jimmy knocked down. The deficit, it felt like they were down by 9 throughout the entire game, at least in the second half.
Yeah.
And when Butler knocked down that huge pull up three, like Jeff Van Gundy, instead of chiming in on like the defense or talking about the play, he'd be like, Jimmy Butler's headband looks different tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's something,
He was
something like
much
that.
more reserved.
Yes, he was just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to take a step back here. You could tell. And then Mark Jackson just being Mark Jackson. What was it? Wasn't it the Strus mouth guard? That made me laugh.
I didn't hear that part.
Wasn't it?
But
Wasn't it when Strus like knocked down a three? I think it was in the first half. When he cheered, his mouth guard fell out, and you could see all the
oh,
slobber and the
I didn't see
drool
that. I didn't
along
see
with
that.
it. And Mark Jackson's like, "Mama, that's gross."
That's
He
a
didn't
good
really.
line.
He didn't say that.
You need
I
to
made that
wipe
up.
up your son's mouth.
I made that up.
Oh, you didn't? Damn.
Yeah,
Damn.
he did say that's gross. I wish he would have said Baba before it though. Mama,
Mama,
there goes that mouth guard.
that's pretty good. The Struce. Well, yeah, man. I mean, like that's the right call, though. He did step on the line before the three.
Oh God, that was tough.
I know, but like that's the thing about like there needs to be.
Don't you love that Miami Heat fans are like showing the still shot of when he's not, the split second when he's not hitting the line, in
I don't
reality
feel
when he did.
sorry for you, Miami Heat fans. You will go outside of your homes, look at the beautiful sunshine, and have a great day. You're fine.
Yeah. And COVID
And
doesn't
that,
exist out there in Florida, so it's okay.
yeah, and that is the right call. He did step on the line, even though I hate that they do that like minutes after. Where you're like, "What play? What are you talking about?"
That's the
Oh,
thing. Possessions
yeah,
after, man. Like what
Scott Foster. It needs to be like the NFL, where Scott Foster like stops and goes, "Hang on, remember that play 5 minutes ago? That's not
Yeah.
going to count." All right, back to the game.
Yeah, yeah. You remember that touchdown that they scored? Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
There was a holding on that play. So you know what? We're gonna negate that touchdown. You keep going on offense, opposing team.
God, can you imagine they did that in the NFL? Not to bring up him again, but I will, just because his voice is funny. Can you
Who?
imagine if like Sean McDonough's like, "Well, John, it seems that touchdown from earlier is gone." What are you talking about, man? It's crazy.
Yeah.
You out of your
Yeah.
mind? You out of your skull?
He would have sent an angry email after that game to the NFL.
Speaking of which, we will talk about the Raiders later.
Will we?
Okay, so let's talk about the Celtics. I thought were the better team yesterday. Even though Jason Tatum kind of had an off game, but in the end, he has not championship pedigree because they've lost 3 Eastern Conference Finals prior to this. But
Yeah.
they've been tested before, and I think they were the better team, and I'm happy the Warriors are playing them, even though I think this is going to be a really, really tough matchup. But they did kind of piss away the game at the end, where it was only Tatum who could make a shot, and Marcus Smart is trying to make some threes, and God knows, please don't do that. So then it goes to a 2-point game, and then Jimmy Butler, with 15 seconds left, pulls up and shoots a 3 with a lot of time left on the clock, and it misses. Now, this is a point of contention with everybody today and last night. Wasn't a good shot. I know I kind of agree with Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson made his points too. I will say this. If Steph Curry makes that shot, if Klay Thompson makes that shot, if a better shooter makes that shot, you can live with that. I am a big clock management guy, so you could have held on to the ball and had the last shot to win the game there or tie it up. He rushed it a little bit, which I'm not a fan of, but if a better shooter attempts that shot, no one says anything. If Steph Curry makes that play, we're all like, okay, well, it's Steph. You know, you make the shot. In that moment, I don't know if a player's thinking about clock management, but you kind of should. So it's 2 points of contention with me. Was the
Yeah.
shot rushed, or should they even attempted that shot in that moment? And in the end, it's an open shot. If he makes the three, no harm, no foul. Even though they get the ball back and Jason Tatum could win the game for you there, it wasn't like everyone's talking about like, oh, if Jimmy Butler makes that shot, they win the game. Not necessarily. There was 15 seconds left. It's
For
plenty of
sure.
time.
For sure.
So it's kind of like with Aaron Rodgers earlier in week 3 this past season. The Niners scored too quickly and gave the ball back to Aaron Rodgers to have that game-winning field goal. I don't know, hindsight, whatever. I just think that looking back on it, you could have. Yes, it was an open shot. Is Jimmy Butler the best 3-point shooter?
Uh-huh.
He was in Game 6, not this game. I don't know. I just think that you may have thought about kind of having a better play call there and kind of milking the clock a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's tough, man, because I think the consensus opinion, and if the unpopular one is that was the right shot to take. But I think the consensus opinion is that he should have either held on to the ball, waited a little bit, or maybe had a little dribble drive penetration and maybe try to draw the foul instead, as opposed to just pulling up and taking the three. But the opposing thing is that Butler had been knocking down that shot from the right wing, the pull up three. He'd been knocking that down a lot in the series and doing it in big time in a big time situation. God, basketball's tough, man. Basketball's so like it's moving so quickly. Like it's not like football where you have time in between each play and you could dissect what you need to do. You really got to make these decisions in real time. And Butler was feeling just so comfortable with that shot that he decided to take it. Now, should it be on us to look at, like, did you see what Jimmy Butler happened to say after the game? Because I honestly didn't. And
No, I
probably
watched the press
should.
conference last night, but he kind of said, excuse me,
Ooh.
Jeff Van Gundy. Eric Spoelstra said, I live and die with that. You know, he's a great
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
He'll make that shot every time, and I'm okay with it. Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler, what is he going to say? No, he can't make that shot. I think Bam Adebayo said the same thing after he ripped off his jersey with just like one like Superman swoop,
Mhm.
like it had buttons on. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I think all the Heat players were okay with that attempt in the end. And, I'm sure there's some people, behind closed doors that be like, yeah, we kind of rushed that. But, was anybody else going to make that shot in that moment? Was Tyler Hero on the court? No.
No, he was in a hoodie.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one thing too is the Heat, while they are a great defensive team and they have, 3-point shooters here or there, it's crazy in the East sometimes. Like they are more of a defensive oriented, conference. So
Yeah.
you'll have like games from some of these guys offensively.